Ride the Car Guy here, and today we are at a new location that we're going to name the Ranch. We're doing quite a few videos here. You'll be seeing videos in a lot of different locations, but today we're at the Ranch. And we're also talking about PCV. Now, PCV stands for Positive Crankcase Ventilation. Now, PCV is important because it maintains pressure in your crankcase. So you want to keep, obviously, your oil in, but at the same time you want to get the gases out of the crankcase that are created. So it creates a vacuum, and that's done by your booster. Sometimes you get air through your in your air box, and then you also have a whole system of vacuum lines that move air around the motor. Now, if this isn't maintained, you could end up having a lot of issues. Now, the most notable issue in this vehicle that I had was oil actually leaking out of the motor. So I had complete splits in my vacuum lines, and we also had some cracking in the lines. So I literally had oil just leaking out of the car because the vacuum was not being created. It wasn't keeping the oil in. Some of the symptoms of bad PCV, whether it be the PCV valve or just vacuum leaks, you could have rough idle, you could have loss of power. In this car, it was definitely a rough idle. It was a very high idle, and it was very choppy. So I was getting revs going up to 1100, back down to 900, then even lower. So it couldn't really control itself at all. It was just kind of acting really wonky. So I found the vacuum leaks, I replaced all the vacuum hoses, and not only did the car run properly, but it stopped leaking oil everywhere, which is always a great thing. This car also had a code. Unfortunately, I already fixed the vacuum leaks, so I don't really know, I don't remember what the code was, but a lot of times the car is smart enough to know that it has a vacuum leak, and it will tell you. So you'll just get a check engine light, you go get the code pulled, and it'll say something like, vacuum leak or some sort of air control or PCV leak. Now, the piece that breaks most often in these systems is your PCV valve. And this, the Audi doesn't really have like a traditional PCV valve. It just has a different system. But if you're working on a car that has a valve, just maintain it. I don't know, they're only a few bucks, and if they're easy to get to, just do it once every few years and you should be okay. But generally, if there is an issue, you'll know. You'll hear, if it's overpressurized, you'll hear it. There'll be like a bit of a whistling sound, and you have to go around your vacuum lines and look for any cracks, any splits, any disconnections, which we definitely have or had in this car. In here, we actually had a pipe that was completely disconnected, just separated from the other piece, and we also have some cracked tubing that is just, it gets worn down over time, it gets dried out, and then it splits at the point where it connects with other hoses. I found that the easiest way to diagnose vacuum leaks is just to listen to the motor. If you are running it and you hear a high whistle, you very well could have a vacuum leak or a really high-pitched sucking noise. So if there's a crack or break in one of the hoses, you'll hear it sucking in like a vacuum through one of those breaks. Sometimes if there is a high pressure in the hose and there's a break, you'll still hear it after the motor shut off. And it's actually happening in this car, and I'll show you that sound right now. Now, if you're in a pinch and you just need to get the vacuum line fixed, you can take a tape, like an electrical tape or something, and just really tightly tape that hose back together at the end, so it kind of seals that up a little bit. Now, that's not a permanent fix. You'll want to replace your lines, but at the same note, it does get you, a few hours, few days to go get the lines replaced. As far as the valves, if your valve is stuck open or stuck closed, you just need to get the new valve and replace it. They're generally, I would say, around or under $10. They're very simple check valves. So just find the valve, replace it, and you should be good. So if you're getting a code or you're hearing a whistle out of your car, definitely look around. Look at all your vacuum lines and look for any overly fatigued lines. Look for any dry rot or any cracking where it connects between other hoses, and that's likely your cause. Luckily, in the top of this motor, there was two very obvious cracks and disconnects, and I just found a kit on eBay. It was like $10, and it was the PCV hose kit, and I replaced them, and it cleared up both issues. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, put them in the comments below. See ya.